Yep.
Boa tarde, querida.
Boa tarde, amigo. Muito tempo.
You know what? People are going to think I'm going to do another all Portuguese video, but have you been keeping up with your Portuguese?
No. Eu sou preguiçosa.
She said she's being lazy. That's what it is. So let's do this, because for everybody who doesn't know who she is, a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. She's a busy woman, and I've been trying to catch up with her. Let's do this. Tell them who you are.
Okay.
And I'm going to show them on the screen some of the cool stuff you got going.
Oh, thanks. Well, my name is Dani Styles. I am a samba dancer and content creator. I perform in Carnival in Rio de Janeiro, and I make videos about these things. And it's just, I don't know what else to say. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't live in Brazil full time, but I do go down to Brazil every year so that I can parade and train and make sure that I'm staying on top of my craft and my Portuguese as best I can, as Watt pointed out that I'm not keeping up with it. But yeah, I try to stay on top of that. But that's mainly my thing, Brazilian samba and traveling to Rio to indulge that passion.
Let me tell you a quick, oh, by the way, everybody, let me put this on the thing for everybody to follow Dani.
Yes, please. I got more time.
Men need knowledge. Flemdice is going to be down here with me soon. We're going to be drinking something cold out of a coconut. But follow her on Instagram. Now, where are you now with followers? Let's see if we can get you at least 20, 30 more tonight. That's my goal.
Yeah, no, I'm under 1,000.
Where are you? Well, I mean, it's like anything else. If you don't pay attention to it, it'll go away. But,
exactly.
You know, I've been doing quite a bit. You know, I'm going to tell you a story. And everybody looks at Dani and her samba, and she's got those dancer's legs. Let me tell you guys a story about a buddy of mine. Every man has his fantasy. We all do. Now, here's the thing. His fantasy was he always wanted to have a girlfriend that was a samba dancer. That was his dream. He wanted a samba dancer girlfriend. Came to Brazil, learned Portuguese, met this beautiful woman. He was spitting his game, and he had himself this amazing, sweet girl who was a dancer, but you know what he didn't bank on? It's kind of like girls who say, I want a successful businessman husband, or women who say, I want a man with muscles. They don't understand the time it takes. See, what he didn't plan on was when she gets off work, she doesn't come home to sit on the couch with him. She was at, how many hours of practice do you put in a day when you're on Dancing for Carnival, getting ready?
Oh, when I'm down there, it's 3 to 4 hours a day. When I'm here, on the low end, an hour a day, on the low end.
On a low end, on a not really taking it seriously, an hour, but on a regular, she's getting ready for Carnival, 4 hours. So now she gets off work at 5, gives him a call, say, hey, baby, I'm going to practice. She gets home, let's call it 10 o'clock after 4 hours of dancing, tired, needs some ice on her legs, and that was what he got with his samba dance because he didn't see what was behind it. It's kind of like
that's the thing. They don't realize how much work goes into being a dancer, period. We are beating our bodies up for this love that we have. I can't tell you how many nights I've had to ice my legs and put my feet up because my feet were so swollen that my little toes look like sausages because you're dancing in those heels on concrete. So it's rough. And then you get up in the morning and you got to do it all over again.
all over again. Yo.
But yeah, rehearsal is no joke. When you're in Rio, you don't just go to the parade and boom, you parade. There's so much that goes into leading into you being in the parade. There's rehearsals in the quadra. There's progettos that you do to kind of, hone your skill. There's street rehearsal. And then if you're a musa like I am, there's media opportunities where you have to get dressed up and go places and just stand there and look pretty for hours. God knows how long that's going to be, so it's just, I'm sorry, you guys, my dog wants to be in this video so bad. But
if you just got home from work and so here's what we're going to remind me, because I want to go into the the different positions that we can talk about in dance. But let's go back for a second. How did you end up in Brazil?
I'm so sorry. I basically I was looking to train. I fell in love with Samba here in America, and finally the time came where me and Ed decided we were just going to go down to Brazil, and the plan was for me to train as much as I could. And with an instructor, a Brazilian instructor that I met here in the U.S., asked me if I wanted to parade, and I said absolutely. And she and I stayed in contact, and I did my first Carnival in 2017. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But you know what? I know so many guys. See, I train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, although I will tell you my worst habits with training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came when I moved to Brazil. Because in America, I would go to work, I had my career, and then I would go to the gym and we're strangling each other. And then I came to Brazil and I got hit with all the stuff that Brazil has to offer. And yeah, my training kind of, do I have the time to lift weights and train? Yes. Was I doing it? No. I was out experimenting with churrasco and, it just, and then right when I went back in the game for jiu-jitsu, well, COVID came and just took us out the game. Right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. One of my favorite things that I love about Brazil. What'd you say?
I said, you keep talking, I can hear you.
Okay. One of the things I love about Brazil, and one of the things that has really been denied me, are the technical ensayos. I love ensayos more than I love Carnival.
Same. Oh, absolutely. The ensayos are way more fun. The technical ensayos, actually, I like to attend those because you get a feel for the actual community. It feels more like a real Carnival than the actual like parades do, because the tickets to actually go to the Sambódromo actually price most people out. So you have, these people who can't afford to go to the parade. They support the Samba school every week, and they can't even afford to go see the actual official show. So for me, like the technical ensayos are actually just way more of an example of what Brazil is, what it looks like, what the people enjoy. It's so much more fun. That's rehearsal in the quadra that you're showing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would do that, and the rehearsals in the quadras. And I would go, literally for 4 months before you have Carnival, you have these. My friends would get so sick of me because I would go to one on Friday, one on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday, and drag people with me.
And think about that. As a dancer, most girls dance for multiple schools. So that's actually your life just trying to stay in the Samba game. You gotta, be a dancer at multiple schools. So this little monster is terrorizing me today. And so you end up all week, every night, there's a different school that you have to go to for a rehearsal. You got street rehearsal over here on Tuesday. You have quadra rehearsal over there on Friday. You have, and as you get closer to Carnival, then you have the technical rehearsals in the Sambódromo, that weekend. So it's a very hectic schedule. It's a very hectic thing being a Samba dancer.
And so technical ensayos, what's the other word you use? Quadra, let me type that in for everybody.
Ensayo de quadra, Q-U-A-D-A, quadra, D-R-A, quadra. So there's ensayo in the quadra. That's when you go to the place where the school actually organizes. Then there's ensayo na rua, ensayo de rua, depending on who you talk to. And that's when you parade through a certain part of the community somewhere near the quadra. And the community comes out and they watch you guys go through singing the song and being outside. And they test like spacing and things like that. This dude is really not good.
And the reason I like these is because you get all the vibe and the fun. And it's honestly, this is going to become a square. It's wholesome. You don't have a bunch of drunk, ignorant people. It's just music and parties. And you see people whose families have been coming to these for generations. I have seen babies asleep on their mother's arm when the bateria are just banging away because they grew up with it.
Yeah, it's totally normal for children to be at these. If you have never gone, you think that because it goes until 4 a.m. that it's an event for adults. But really, this is ensayos are family affairs. And when you're in the quadra, they're selling food and drinks and snacks, and you can, you know, basically just make a whole night of it. And then on the days what they do when they do it in the street for the inside Jehovah, the community comes out and they're making money selling things as well, and they bring their kids out and everybody's out there just enjoying the show for free. It's a lot of fun. It's really one of my favorite things to do.
Wow. It's one of those things that doesn't really get enough publicity. That's why I try to show people. I try to show people that it's so much more. It has so much more than everybody wants to, than what you're going to see on the main television channels. See, what they see on television is the big choreographed event that they do for the giant corporations that own everything. These are the things where you can go with people. And, you know, when they talk about family, I know a guy who, he knows who he is. He's probably watching this. He went out, started dating a girl in this one samba school, and he did something stupid. Let me be clear about that. He did something stupid and found out he couldn't go back. That was not forgiven. That was not, wait, one of our girls, he did her wrong? Nope.
He couldn't go back to the samba school?
He couldn't even go to the ensayos, and he was just a guy that went to support stuff. Word got around like that because, again, these people are families.
It's a small community. Despite how many samba schools there are, it's a very small community, and that is why dancers dance for multiple schools. And also,
I couldn't hear you.
I'm so. Why I need to take a time out. Let me with this dog, and then I'll come back.
Well, you know what? I'm going to show him your YouTube while we're doing this. Then
you do that, and then I'm gonna take care of what's happening over here.
Okay. I'm going to say follow Dani on YouTube, and I'm going to give you guys her YouTube. Dun, dun, dun. Where is it? There it is. Boom. And I'm going to put this here in the comment section for everybody to see her YouTube channel. Again, let's get her subscriptions up. I just want to get her up by at least 30 or 40 today. 30 or 40 today. Let's see. But yeah, she's got just stuff from Rio and oh wait, let's do this. Let's see what she's got up there. This is a new one. I didn't see this one yet. Nice, nice. But yeah, I want everybody, let's see. There we go. Let's see. Sounds like a great way to knock out cardio. Listen, if only you knew. Like, I don't even dance. I go to those places and you're sweating bullets just being inside. Thank you. Thank you, Clef Traveler. Thank you very much. Boom.
All right. Looking at the YouTube.
Yeah, we got you some subscriptions.
Oh, thank you. I hope you guys enjoy that content because all of that stuff was filmed over the last couple of carnivals, showing you what it's like behind the scenes, how you prep for it, what the different terminologies mean. If you're curious about, like we mentioned Ensayo Jehua, we mentioned Ensayo na Quadra, all of that stuff is mentioned in those videos. I'll
also tell you something that has helped me. There we go. Look, 3D success. Subscribe.
Thank you.
Hey, Flem Dice, Men Need Knowledge. Go subscribe now, please. Thank you. Brent, glad to see you. Brent's gonna be. Listen, Brent, this is for you. Brent loves dancing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Brent loves dancing. We're gonna show some more of her stuff, Brent. But check this out. That's her YouTube. It's up there in the comments. Go subscribe to it right now. What I was gonna say to you was something that helped me a lot with understanding a little bit more of social media, because I have a couple of businesses, but social media is also a great way to meet new people. And I've had quite a few clients who met me through social media when I wasn't even talking about business. My friend introduced me to a woman that's a social media person. And what I did is I did a one-off consultation with her. I just said, what should I do with my Instagram? And it took her about, 10 minutes. And she just told me everything I needed to do. which was basically realize one important thing. I'm a YouTube guy, right? I understand YouTube. I can get down on YouTube. Instagram is not YouTube, and I had to get that through my head.
Yeah.
You know, with YouTube, I understand my hashtags, I understand my titles, I know my thumbnails. But one of the things that I also learned you can do, did you know you can take any video under an hour and put it on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on Instagram, rather.
Or Instagram TV.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But that wasn't always the case, so that's probably why you didn't know that. So it's one of those things where like social media is constantly changing and updating, and you got to stay on top of it. And if you don't, you find yourself kind of behind the 8 ball. And like you said, there's not really a lot of content out there about this subject, about Carnival, about Samba, that's actually in English. And if it is out there, people aren't finding it because maybe people aren't able, they don't know how to optimize YouTube, don't know how to optimize their Instagram. But yeah, I think that if you have if you have a resource, definitely let your girl know.
Well, the only thing I was going to say to you is with your titles and your hashtag, like you should really look into that because you're not utilizing it. The way you put the hashtags in with your title, it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. That's how I've gotten to my subscription stuff to where I am right now.
I definitely. We'll talk about that a little bit more offline.
Yeah. We'll talk about that offline. So Brent's doing Chicago Stepping for 8 years, and he's also going to come down to Brazil. He told me he wants to learn a lot more about Brazilian dance, so I'm glad he's here.
Yeah, Samba schools are a great place to go learn. And even though it's called a Samba school, I don't know if you've talked about this, but even though it's called a Samba school, it's not actually a school. It's not like a Samba university that you go to.
No.
It's more of a community organization that does teach these things within the community for the purpose of advancing Carnival arts. And that is something that I think is very confusing. The language is very confusing for people when they first learn it, but there are opportunities for you to learn how to Samba at the schools. Learn how to play the music, learn how to make costumes, learn how to make floats and build them. You know, all of those things are available to you at the Samba school. If you have the right connections, you can basically start a whole new life in that world.
And yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, you can't, if you're going just to look, that's great and that's fine, but you can't fake your way into the community.
No.
That's just not going to work.
No, I think so many people at this stage, it's 2021. I think they've seen people who come in and they want to be part of the Samba life or the Carnival life just for like the bragging rights of this is what I do. I go to Carnival, you know, and it's though they kind of see through that, and you'll never really fully penetrate the community if that's your approach. You'll never penetrate the community, and you have to really ingratiate yourself into the community, make yourself, you know, a part of it before they really, really embrace you. And that's something that I think a lot of girls need to, especially the women who want to be a part of the community. You kind of have to go into, you can't go into it with the self-serving idea of I'm going to go in there and be famous and make a name for myself. You kind of gotta, you know, really have a passion for it.
Because here's the thing, I know tons of women. Like I know some guys who like Samba, we like it for the music and going out into the, you know, we'll go to the barbecue, but I know tons of women that come to Brazil and they're like, I'm going to be a Samba queen. And they find out the work that gets put in. By the way, make sure you add her on Facebook as well. They find out the level of work you have to put in and they just quit.
It's easy to quit when you find that out, because the schools, like when we as Americans travel to Brazil, we're staying in Zona Sul most of the time. When we go to Rio, we're staying in Zona Sul. We are, you know, going to all of these touristy spots, but the heart of the Samba community is not in Zona Sul. It's just
now
not.
For what she's telling folks, for those who don't understand, what she's saying is what a lot of expats do, and this is something I work with my clients for my expat relocation business. They want to go live in places that I call the expat ghetto, which is basically like, oh, I'm just going to live in a little bubble of America in Brazil. And I'm like, my clients, I'm like, no, you're going to live in a regular neighborhood of regular people.
Mm-hmm. And you can't do that if you're not, A, committed to learning Portuguese and speaking Portuguese all day, every day. And also if you're not committed to like meeting and actually engaging in the community. It's going to be really hard for you if you're living in somewhere because most of the places you go, they're not going to speak English. That's the thing that I always tell people before they go. Do not expect to go there. This is not, some 5-star resort. When you leave your hotel, do not expect anybody to speak English to you. The best
Yeah,
Samba instructors do not speak English. So
not a little.
part of what made me get serious about Portuguese is that the teachers I wanted to learn from couldn't tell me anything other than 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't understand certain things. I had to learn random body parts. We think we need to know what hands and feet are. How do you say hips in Portuguese?
Yeah.
How do you say portobello? How do you say carriage? You know what I mean? How you carry your body? How do you say posture in Portuguese? You don't know how to say those things, you're going to struggle in class.
And I'm going to show you something interesting when you said that. There are words for things that don't come up in everyday conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that happens is there's also specific Portuguese for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, most people don't use the word strangle in their everyday, or the difference between strangle and choke. Little things like that people, they totally don't realize, and then they come down and like, oh crap. But then it's weird because my friends who are, we're jiu-jitsu nerds that only speak like jiu-jitsu Portuguese.
They got to learn. They basically have to learn a whole new Portuguese to function outside of the dojo. I don't know. Is it a dojo in jiu-jitsu?
No. It's just an academy.
An academy, okay.
It's an academy. Just call it an academy. I'll give you a quick glimpse. It's like, watch this. Hello, Shyla. Boom, boom.
Quadrille, yeah. Got out there.
Like, you might get away. Oh, come on, pop-ups. You might get away with like belly, barriga. Belly is different from stomach. Yes. Stomach is a technical.
Yes, because they consider stomach to be an organ. So there's no, we can, in English, we use stomach kind of interchangeably with belly and tummy. And
yeah, but there, it's a position you put your kneecap to stop someone from breathing, or armpit. When you put your head on someone's armpit to throw them on the side, it's just not, it's just not really something you're gonna, chave de braço. No one's really gonna teach you that when you're learning Portuguese.
Right. You wouldn't use that if you weren't a jiu-jitsu.
So that's the thing.
But I think there's a lot of that with Samba as well, and with Carnival life as well. I really do think there's a lot of those things that words that you just wouldn't say otherwise, because they're not things that they don't come up in regular conversation,
Exactly. They just don't come up normally. And it's one of those, I tell people all the time that in Brazil, you may not find, how can I put this? There's as much diversity in Brazil, but even when you find something, the things that they do, even the things they don't do as many of, they do deeper.
I need you to expound.
The United States, you have people that will have, 4 different hobbies. In Brazil, I have found the Brazilians are kind of like the Japanese. What they do, they want to do that thing.
Yes, very true. Very true. Yeah. Like, when you find people who are very into jiu-jitsu, that is their life. I find that to be especially true with capoeira people. They are when they're into capoeira, their whole life revolves around capoeira. Their entire friend group is in capoeira. Their entire wardrobe is related to, their casual wardrobe is all capoeira stuff. You know what I mean? It kind of consumes them. And I think that I've seen that even be true with Samba as well. Like, there are those women who were passistas when they were younger, became director of passista or, something else in the Samba school.
Well, let's do this. Let's give them a breakdown.
Like
passista.
Okay.
Passista. Let's do this. Spell it out for me. I'm going to give you some visuals while you're talking.
So you want to talk about what the different vocab, the different roles are?
Well, let's start with passista.
Okay. Passista is... the translation of that word is just person who passes steps, person who does steps, but it is the professional Samba dancer of the school. So, and most schools have many, but they are among the best samba dancers in the world, in the school. It's a position of merit. You have to audition to become a pasista. You are not just granted this position because you know somebody. You actually have to audition, and in some schools, even if you were pasista last year, you have to audition again this year. So it just really depends on the school, but pasistas are the best samba dancers in the school. They form the ala das pasistas, or the wing of samba dancers, in the Carnival parade, which is kind of one of the highlights in the actual parades. But also, depending on the school, they also put on samba shows at the rehearsals in the quadra. We called it the ensayo na quadra. Sometimes there's actually a samba show, and these girls do choreographies to, specific songs. They all dress the same. And it's a really, really good show to see. If you ever get to see the pasistas do their thing, it is a sight, because all of them are usually young girls, great bodies, beautiful, hair laid, makeup done, all dressed in these very sexy costumes, and they put on.
Is sexy the right word?
No, because I don't think their girls, to me, don't dress sexy. It just depends on the school. I think that some schools do strive to add a little bit of sex appeal, but I think that by and large, it's just dance. Dance culture in Brazil is a little bit different. So a lot of times their costumes are leotard based. So it's a leotard with fringe and cutouts, and they can be
lots of glitter.
Revealing. They call those clothes roupas de pinta, clothes to paint. That's what it translates to. I don't know why they call them roupas de pinta, but these girls, they wear those outfits, and I think sometimes the goal is for them to look beautiful and to look aspirational to other girls. I don't know if sexy is I don't think sexy is the wrong word, but I don't think it's the only word to describe them, because every school is different. Salgueiro's girls show a little bit more skin than, say, the Mangueira girls. Mangueira girls, to me, do not show a whole lot of anything.
I would go so far. Well, you know what? Let me do this. While because it's easy to get to go through and find other, things to talk about. I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to show you. I hope I have a picture here of one of my favorite parts of all the ceremony, and I might have a picture here on my Instagram of the flag ceremony.
Oh, I love the flag ceremony. Yeah.
Tell them the flag ceremony, and I don't know why this gets me all emotional.
Okay, so you have to each samba school has a flag, a bandera, and it is held or presented by a flag bearer, the porta bandera. This is a woman in a flowy skirt, and she has a like a harness around her waist that helps her to hold the flag, and she has a dance partner who is the master of the room, the mestre de sala. And they perform together in a way that displays the flag beautifully. And the role is she displays the flag and he protects her while she displays the flag. That is the history and the idea behind their performance. But at the beginning of every rehearsal, at the beginning of every parade, the porta bandera and the mestre de sala, they come out and they present the flag to various members of the samba school, including the president and the carnavalesco, and they sing the school's hymn, and they present the flag before any of the festivities start, so that everybody has an opportunity to kind of give pay their respects to the school, to the history of the school, to to pledge allegiance to the flag, if you will. And the mestre de sala.
It is not uncommon for people to kiss the flag as it comes by.
A lot of people kiss the flag. They bow to they curtsy and bow to the porta bandera and the mestre de sala, including a lot of times the carnavalesco and the president of the school. That is, they are typically like the first people who get to actually touch the flag. It's brought out, there's a specific person who actually brings the flag to the porta bandera before it goes into her belt. It is literally a whole moment of pomp and circumstance to kind of set the tone for the amount of love and respect that these people have for their samba school, and it's really beautiful to see.
And that's one of my favorite parts. But it's one of those parts of the ceremony that you realize the importance of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think the more you know about the school, that's when you realize how important that is, or about the Carnival culture. That's when you realize how important it is. Because initially I didn't realize that the history of those two people was she displays the flag and he protects her so that nobody can come and capture the flag. You know, that's the kind of the history of it. And I didn't know that for many years, you know, and it's when you watch how they circle each other while they're performing, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, with that, let me think. What would be another good position to expose them to that they may not know is there? Because I don't think a lot of people understand that a samba school, when you see these giant productions, when I say position, it's like any sports team. They have a coach specifically for each person in that position. And when you go to some of these practices, you know, you'll see their position coach, you know, with her clipboard, you know, making sure that their position is played the right way for the school. I know a woman who does dancing and modeling, and interestingly enough, she said the most difficult part of dancing and modeling for a woman is that you can't ever, how does she say it? You can't ever not smile. You have to be smiling the whole time.
And that's true. Yeah, that is definitely true. The Harmonia are those people that kind of make sure that everything kind of happens on schedule and everybody's spaced properly. And in rehearsal, if you're not smiling, they will look at you and Sahi, you know, they're telling you better smile. Sahi. And also go, stop, come. The entire parade, this is being shouted at you so that you keep the appropriate spacing and don't go too far over that way. Don't go too far over this way. Make sure you stay visible. Make sure you're smiling. Make sure that everybody can see your costume, that you're standing with the proper posture. You know, all of those things go into it. And it's the smiling part is hard. And I learned that as a cheerleader growing up. If you don't smile while you're rehearsing, when you get in the show, because your adrenaline is going, it takes more energy to smile if you're not used to doing that. That's like one more thing.
It's no different than jujitsu. What you do in practice, it's like jujitsu. A bad habit that you pick up in practice is a bad habit that's going to get you in a tournament and get somebody's arm broken. You know, you have, that's why
beyond
there.
Just being a bad habit that you'll do, the reality is when it comes to performance, smiling takes more energy than you think it does. You know, you think about it's just the muscles in your face that you have to think about. But when you're in a show, like when you get ready to turn down the Avenida, which would be the Sambodromo, the lights hit you in the face hard. You know what I mean? And you look around you and there's cameras everywhere. Your adrenaline, your heart starts beating even faster than it normally would. You're not nervous about dancing samba. You've been dancing samba for years. That's not the issue. You know what I mean? It's a matter of now I'm really on the big stage. And it's very easy to get the big eyes and the like tense up, but then you're like, oh my God, I also have to smile. It literally takes extra energy just to smile. So you have to really practice that while you're dancing and practice smiling and breathing through your nose while you're dancing. That was a tip I got from Queen Evelyn Bastos, who I love, the Queen of Mangueira. You smile and you breathe through your nose, and you have to train like that, because when you get on the big stage, trying to do that for the first time is not going to work.
No, you'll never pull it off. You'll never pull it off. You know, one of the aspects of Carnival that, you know, you learn more the more you're into it. I didn't know how expensive it was, and I didn't know how much of that expense was not covered by any state or federal anything, which I think is worse than slavery. You have well, let me explain to you why. A slave knows he's a slave. He may want to get up and kill the master and run. But when you have a situation where you have arguably the single most well-known event in the world, there is no place on this planet where people who have any freedom of press at all don't know about Carnival. That's the first thing you're going to hear. When you hear about, I want to go somewhere to have fun, you might hear about New Orleans, maybe, you know, something like that. But you will not have anyone who goes, oh yeah, we should go to Brazil for Carnival. That's always going to be an option.
Yeah. I think
so,
that the fact that it, like you said, it's not like when I found out what percentage of the funding the city and the state actually provides, I was floored.
It's only a little.
Yeah.
It's nothing. And they have people like these costumes that we love. They have no idea how many hours of labor it goes into making one costume.
It's a lot.
I remember walking past, they weren't doing anything, but it was one of the Samba schools, and they just had the doors open, and you saw these people just working on costumes, old, young, and it feels like the country, my new home, they make a ton of money off Carnival. A rising tide lifts all boats. I don't know whether or not your friends have put you on the wire, but apparently in July, which is in winter here or cold season, they're going to try, not cold like America cold, they're going to try to have some kind of a carnival event, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, and see, I've been to Rio during that time. Rio and Sao Paulo have different temperatures, obviously, but it's not so cold that we couldn't do it. We couldn't wear those small costumes and be comfortable, but there's something about the fact that they lead into, they're making it at a certain time for a reason. They're building everything, like they built the floats pretty much at the last minute, but everything else is kind of happening throughout the year. And so when you try to cram all of that in when kids are in school, when people have expectations, because the carnival season kind of changes the work schedule in a
carnival season changes everything,
and so it changes everything. So it's weird. I don't know how they're also going to pull it off and have it in July and then turn around in February, just a few short months later, and do it on its normal schedule for 2022. I don't know how they're going to pull that off. It seems like a huge financial burden for the people who pay into the Carnival experience, because they rely on people going to these schools, paying to go to these ensayos. They rely on donations. And the city is like, yeah, we'll give you what we give you. But as I understand it, at least in Rio, the mayor who's been steadily cutting funding for Carnival every year is out, as I understand it. So we'll see what happens for 2022. But it's a labor of love. These people, there are crooks in the world. Like I hear horror stories about how presidents of certain schools basically run off with the money and don't pay the people who make the costumes, don't pay the people who help build the floats. Like they get to Carnival's end, none of those people get their payout. You hear those horror stories, and that those people are literally relying on it, because I meet so many people. I ask them, what do you do when it's not Carnival? And they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, what do you mean? When it's not January, February, when it's not December through February, what do you do? And they're like, this is all I do.
There are people, like, let's say you are a t-shirt company. Mm-hmm. You can make all the money you need for a year just at Carnival. And you'll spend 6 months manufacturing literally hundreds of thousands of t-shirts that you're going to sell during Carnival on the corner and make all the money you need for a year. There are restaurants that make all their profit in 2 months, 3 months.
Right.
Oh,
they stay afloat for the year with locals, but then when Carnival happens, that's when they finally turn a profit. And
that's the money.
To me that's for me, if I lived there, that would be a scary proposition for me. You know what I mean? Especially when you find out that when something like this, what we're in right now, happens, and your main source of income is delayed for 4 or 5, 6 months. Like I'm shielded from that as an American, but I'm not crazy enough to think that this is not about to be a very different Carnival in July. It's going to be very different.
I don't know why they didn't double down. And by the way, look, Carnival in Diamantina, Minas Gerais, don't know that place. I don't know why they didn't double down and say, look, why don't we do no Carnival this year, right? And then go for it in 2022.
Blow it out of the water in 2022.
Huh?
Cancel it for 2021. Blow it out of the water for 2022.
Yeah, have a monster.
Yeah, I don't need. Well, that's what Bahia has opted to do. Actually, Salvador has opted to not have Carnival 2021. There will not be anything in July. Nothing official in Salvador in July. But cities like, Olinda, Rio, Sao Paulo, they want that money. They want those tourist dollars.
I don't think it's going to work out the way they think it is, though. I don't think we have a lot of these Americans who normally come down, just throwing cash around. I have friends that, and I had to learn the hard way. No, you can't stay at my house during Carnival. Because people come down and they don't understand. I live here. You just visiting. They want to come home at 3 o'clock in the morning, covered in glitter, hammered, drunk. I'm like, no, get an Airbnb.
Thing is so real. You're like, on a night where I didn't go to incite you, I'm just out in the street. And I'm like, why am I still covered in glitter? Why is E covered in glitter? What happened out here?
I hate glitter.
That's a real thing for Carnival. It's wild that, like, I can't imagine coming in the house to somebody else's house at 3 a.m. But at the same time, like, it's going to be very interesting to see, like, how it actually pans out, because I think that domestic tourism is up in Brazil. People are able to go, but international, they rely heavily, I think, on people coming from America, from Australia, from, various European states, they rely on that tourism. Canada's a lot of Canadian samba dancers that come down to Carnival as well, and I don't think they're gonna get the travel that they think they're gonna get in July. I just don't see it.
Here's what I think.
I'm covering up the dog so he can stop growling at me.
Hold on one second. Let me put this here. How come I can't get this done? Trying to show you guys something. So here's what I was going to say. One thing that has changed a lot is, that I do my expat relocation services business. And for the people who don't know, I'll also put my LinkedIn, and I always tell everybody, add me on LinkedIn because, let's see, add me on LinkedIn. One of the things that's been happening is I have had so many clients over this past 8 weeks. I mean, there are so many people getting out of the United States, and I don't mean I'm going to go to Brazil for a while. They're calling me saying, hey, Watt, how much would it cost to help you get me my paperwork done to live in Brazil full time? I'm out. Now, Here's what's interesting. And for the record, anybody who doesn't know, I'll show you guys what I do. My clients are coming from both the left and the right of the political spectrum. I have clients that are these hardcore liberals. I have clients that are hardcore right-wing Republicans. And they all are angry at the United States for the same reason, saying, I need to get out.
What is their reason?
Ooh, where do we start? Well, let me close this window. For those who want to go back, I put the link there. I do expat relocation stuff. I do everything from helping people get their CPFs and things of that number. But I also tell people, no matter who you choose to go with, if you do choose to relocate out of a country, don't just take what they say for it or my word for it. Always scroll down and always look at their recommendations and endorsements. This is where other businessmen and businesswomen under their own name say, you know what, this guy YusefWateef is who he claims to be. Now, this is where we're going to really get into it. They're all giving me, keep in mind, I'm not, we're going to show that at show and tell later. Look at all the Samba gear on the couch. They claim the government that, and I say our government because I'm still an American, even though I don't live in America, and I probably won't be. Ineffectual, weakened government that is trying to split the middle instead of taking a hard position on what they want to do or where they want America to go. A president that is running on the same platform the last president went on. Hey, at least I'm not the other guy.
It worked this time, though.
Hey, but you know what? It worked last time. It's how Trump got in, right? And by the way, I'm glad Trump won. He exposed a lot of stuff America didn't want to talk about.
He did.
You know, and here's the thing: people have this thing where they're like, "Well, this will be different." And my thing is, why are you waiting for help to come? Like, help's not coming. Run.
Not at all. And I think that you can see great examples of how people make a life when you pay attention to people in other countries. I think that, like, in America, we are of that ilk of, well, the government should do something to make it better. And when I'm in Rio, I watch people hustle constantly because they know nobody is coming to make it better. And I take lessons like that, like I said, I go down there to train Samba, but I take other lessons like that, you know what I mean, from the people that I meet. They're not waiting for any government official or anybody to make their life better. So,
and it's scary because they all are telling me they don't think the government coming in office can. Some people don't think the last government went far enough. Some people think that they need to be pulled back. But either way, nobody believes that the incoming government has the clout or the ability to actually get a strong hand on the steering wheel and say, okay, here's where we're going to go with this.
No, you're probably right.
You know,
so,
if we're gonna go,
you know, as you know, I'm looking to move to Brazil full time. My last trip.
You've been singing that song for how long and you still not here yet?
Listen, it's not just up to me. It's me and a partner, as you know. So
Look,
I'm not gonna leave him, and I know he wouldn't just leave me. So we gotta.
If you go, he's gonna follow you. If you go, he's gonna follow you. All those excuses gonna tend to go out when you say, you know what, baby, I think I gotta make this move. All right, let me figure out what I gotta do.
We have this conversation. He and I have this conversation on a regular basis, but I think that I just want to let the people know, like, I typically, when I come down for Carnival, I'm there for a month. The longest I've been is 7 weeks. So you start to feel like you live there when you're in a place for almost 2 months, you know. But it is still, I'm still thoroughly an American resident. But going down to Carnival, you have to be, if you're gonna like really be in it, like I said at the beginning of this video, you really have to ingratiate yourself in that. You have to be down there for a while for that to happen. And that's how I learned that I am ready, or at least mentally ready, to actually make the move, because I was there without him for a time, and then he came down, and you know, we were living a good life, you know what I mean, still doing work things. And so I'm looking forward to coming back down there again for Carnival. But like I said, I'm concerned about what it's going to be like. And in my role, which is the only role we've talked about thus far, is Pasista and Porta Bandeira and Mestre de Sala.
Okay, keep going.
We haven't even talked about my role, which is Musa. And Musa is for a really lack of better terms, she's basically parade eye candy. It is not a role that is judged by, because the parades that I do are part of a competition, and so Musas are not judged by the panel, but they are beloved by the crowd. And the Musas are the ones you see in the costumes that he just showed you. These really elaborate costumes with, you know, 500 to 1,000 feathers on the costume, and, you know, countless crystals and rhinestones. It's a really they have the most beautiful costumes, and I was so grateful when I got the opportunity to actually be one. And I have like the feathers from one of my Musa costumes behind me. But that is my role. You are in front of an ala, or a group of about 40 people who are they're all wearing the same costume, and you have some glamorous version of what they have on. So in my last parade, I believe the people behind me were off like creatures of the sea.
Okay.
And I was kind of an amalgamation of all the colors they were wearing. That's kind of how it ended up playing out. So that's what you see in that orange and blue costume. If you go down just a little bit further, that one. So, and then the red costume, yeah, the red costume, I was an Indian. But yeah, that was, yeah, there's a lot of different musas. Some schools do more than others. My school, Hanasei de Jacare Pagua, that's a school that I've paraded with historically. I probably will end up changing schools this year. They do a lot of muses. Musa means muse. You are a muse to the composer. You basically you represent the beauty and sensuality of Carnival. Whereas, other roles may represent the fun and liveliness of Carnival. The queen represents something different. Like everybody has their own representation. But the muses are representations of the beauty and sensuality of Carnival. And that's what you're expected to exude at all times. And your costume is expected to I guess, mirror that as well. And we have to actually pay for our costume. That's Musa. Pasista, if you're a Pasista, I don't believe you pay for your Carnival costume, but you don't actually get to own it. You actually have to give it back and repurpose the things. Say it again.
Yeah, I was just saying that. So what does that costume run?
On the low end, you're looking at about 1,500 USD.
And that's US dollars, people. That's a lot more. Look, 1,500 US dollars is more than somebody. That's more than someone who earns top 10% salary in Brazil is going to make in a month.
Right. So in addition to be able to, I told you that being Pasista, you have to audition. To be Musa, there's really no requirement that you know how to dance, which I do, but that's because that's a passion of mine. And I make money dancing here in America, being a samba dancer in America. But you don't really necessarily, to be Musa, you don't have to know how to dance. You don't have to have a certain build. A lot of Musas are bodybuilders. I am absolutely not a bodybuilder.
You want to see some six packs? Those mooses walk down, boy. Now, I will tell you something that's interesting for the people in the crowd that like to lift weights, especially the guys. One of the interesting things that happens at the gym right around October, you start to see, because you start to see a flood of women monopolizing all the leg exercise machines.
Yes.
Because in every gym, there's an ebb and a flow to who long, what you're going to get to do and blah, 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 blah. And when the women start coming in, they have these powerful legs and they'll just dominate all the leg machines like you can't even get on.
That's so true. And when I'm in Rio, I have a trainer that I work out with in those weeks leading up to Carnival. And she focuses almost exclusively on my legs and glutes.
Do you want to plug her? Do you want to plug her IG?
Hita, yes. I'll send you her Hita PT. Actually, that's how you spell it. RITAPITI. That is her Instagram. But she is amazing. She herself was a dancer, turned bodybuilder, turned fighter. She's a trainer.
What's her last name? Rita Valenti?
No, PT, like a personal trainer. You know how they spell it out phonetically?
Yeah, RITA.
PITI.
Ah.
Hita, the PT, but Hita PT, and she's a personal trainer. She's amazing. She transformed my body in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Because I went down there and I got called fat. I got called fat. Hello, reigning woman. So yeah, she's amazing. She's a very nice person, but she is not a joke. You go to her gym, she's going to tell you, like, this is the time you get here. This is how you need to eat, and don't complain. That's it. Do not complain. But she's amazing. You see that body on her, and she transforms bodies. Like, she's really great. So I love Hita. But yeah,
now, I do want to tell folks something interesting. One of the things that I notice about, and by the way, I love, what I love? that I saw, one thing that impresses me already, the fact that she's got that meal plan up. People don't understand. When you in that weightlifting or whatever life or physical, you can't take chances of just eat what everybody else is eating for lunch.
Right. When I would leave her, there's a video about working out with her on my YouTube channel. And when I would leave her, I wasn't the only American working out with her. There were a few of us who came down for Carnival, and we all were working out with her. And we would leave and go to lunch at a restaurant, like at the bottom of like the street that she was on, that the gym was on. And she had told us what we needed to focus on. Like they have this specific menu at this Por Kilo, which is a restaurant for those of you who haven't been to Brazil or to a Brazilian restaurant. It's a place where you basically, you make your plate and they weigh it.
Yeah.
And you pay whatever your plate weighs. So she basically told me your plate only needs to be this full, and you need to make sure you get a protein. Don't eat that vegetable, because I love beets. Beets are like, I love when I go to Rio, beets are like everywhere I go. Beets have too much sugar. Stop eating beets. And I was like, no, not the beets. Don't do that. No potatoes, none of that. Eggs, kale, or collards, the covey, like those are the things that like I had to like focus on when I would go to this restaurant. And yeah, she focused almost exclusively on my, you see how good my butt looked in that video? Like she focused on that and transformed my body in 3 weeks, and just, helped me pick out what I was going to eat. I didn't drink I gave myself like 1 shot of cachaça every night because I was a bad girl. But I wasn't supposed to drink. All of that had to be cut out. It was intense, but again, I only did that for about 3 weeks to a month, and then after that, I was like, "Give me all the French fries." After Carnival was over.
How dare you? How dare you?
When you go to Rio, Rio serves French fries with everything.
See, I'm not a Rio person. I'm a São Paulo person, but I love the nordestino food. Get this. One of my favorite restaurants that I only allow myself to go there once a month because this is what I end up eating. Vaca atolada. The beef ribs. Ooh. Ooh. It will get you where you want to go fast.
So my introduction to Brazil and Brazilian culture is when my mom's brother married a Brazilian woman. And she's from Minas Gerais. The food at their house was always amazing. Like she cooked things differently, obviously, because in the South we stew our collard greens, and there they saute. But by and large, everything she made, it was just like the most amazing food ever. So like, I love Brazilian food, especially like you said, that nordestino, that Minas Gerais.
This is the thing about Brazil. I'm going to show you guys something. In the United States, at 43 years old, I'm one of the oldest men in the gym. In Brazil, there are men whose hair is completely white doing freehand chin-ups.
There's a Carnivalesco for a Samba school, and I think he just moved schools. I don't know what school it is, but he is 60-something, fully jacked. And I'm using this word. Carnivalesco is a person at Carnival who is at the school in charge of the look and feel of the parade. There's a theme, and the Carnivalesco brings that theme to life visually. I want it to look like this. I want it to feel like that. I want the pasistas to embody this. I need the musas to be dressed like that. Person brings it all together creatively. This guy has been doing that for years, and he's in his 60s, and he, like you said, all white hair, jacked, covered in tattoos. I'm thinking that there are 30-year-old men who wish they look like that.
Hey, one of the things I love, one of the things I try to explain to people that I love about being out here is Brazilians are vain.
100%. When I got there for my last Carnival and they called me fat, it hurt my feelings so bad. Because here in America, I'm a normal size, in shape person. I mean, you know what I mean? Let me say, at that point, I was a normal size, in shape person. But because I did not have bodybuilder, like brick laid abs, quads that were like, you know, massive quads. I didn't have that. So it was like, oh, she's fat. We got to get her a trainer. And that's literally how I got introduced to Hida, to the trainer.
Well, here's the thing. Out here in America, you know, I'm the big guy. I'm the strong guy. Out here, though, my friends in the gym,
You're the small guy.
Man, they put in work out here that, you know, if I had more time, but I'm still putting in 2 hours at least every other day in the gym. And it's like, but I got guys who just live there, you know? Yeah. These are guys who only put on a shirt when they have to go into the store, you know?
But there are women like that there as well. The women are the same. And I think that's why, and I can't, like I said, I can't really speak on Sao Paulo, but in Rio, they have that reputation. Brazilian women already have the reputation of being the most beautiful women in the world. And I would venture to say, I get called a hater for this, I don't think they're more beautiful than any other women in the world, but I think they care for themselves better.
Hold on. Say it. Wait. Let me give you a solo on this one. Say it again for the people who didn't hear it.
Brazilian women have the reputation for being the most beautiful women in the world. I'm not going to go so far as to say that they are the most beautiful women here, but I believe that they care for themselves better. They have better personal care than women other places.
I don't think, when I say that, people look at me like they want to stab me in the face. I tell them all the time, I've lived in 15 countries throughout my life. There are beautiful women everywhere, but here, people just, and men too, they just take care of themselves. They just want to look good.
There are, and this is the thing that one of the other things that I learned after doing a couple of carnivals is that the beauty treatments that are expected of you if you are a muse and a passista are something that they're things that nobody even does them in America. You know, there's this thing called the panelas, which technically means pots or panels.
Yeah,
but
pan.
It means the pans, but they're like literally these, I wish I had something. It's like a wooden flat thing, and they literally beat you in the, like they rake your stomach with it.
I've seen them.
And that is, nobody is doing that in America. No spa is doing that to bodies in America. The suction cups to make the butt sit up and be I guess, swollen in the exact right place. You can find that in America, but it's not something that every girl is out there getting, because most spas, you basically have to go to a Brazilian spa to get it. And if you live in a city where there's no Brazilians, you don't have that option.
It's off the table. Watch this. I know a woman who came here. She lives in Salvador now. Stunningly beautiful, 25-year-old Black woman. Works for a great company up there. She called me and said, "What? Do you know any good doctors in Sao Paulo?" I said, "Are you okay? Are you sick? What's going on?" She said, "I want to get some plastic surgery." And I said, "Why?" I mean, when I tell you she's beautiful, I mean, she really is. She's hanging out with a lot of the women up there. She just it's got to her head. She started to feel inadequate.
Yeah. And because it's easy to feel that way. It's easy to feel that way because, like you said, we're American women. I'm going to speak for the American women I know. Let me not say all American women. We are, get your eyebrows done. Make sure your hair is healthy and shiny. You work out to keep yourself from getting a big barriga, a big belly. Then you take it to the next level, and it's those women who make sure that they get their teeth whitened on a regular basis and get Botox and they get lashes.
Oh, you know what? And again, one of the things I've done for clients out here, I get a teeth whitened and just a little, like, make them look a certain way. And the dentist, she was like, we can close that gap for you. And I was like, no, I like my gap. She was like, no, it doesn't cost any extra. And I was like, no, it's not about the money. Because she was like, okay, I forgot how to say it in Portuguese. There are only two types of women: beautiful women and poor women. Have you heard that with your friends? Yep. Because any woman with any money at all, I mean, at 16, these girls are getting all their cosmetic stuff.
They are. They're getting their boobs done as soon as they turn 17. They're getting braces as soon as they can. You know, in America, you either get it while you're a child or you get them as an adult when you get your own insurance.
In Brazil, a lot of people don't know that the government had a big medical plan where they push braces. They're like, anybody who wants braces can get them dirt cheap here. Again, I have a lot of medical tourism that comes through my company for people who are like, let's not even talk about the serious medical issues that come to Brazil to get fixed at a reasonable price. I've got a situation where I got some people coming down here. This woman and her husband is trying to go home looking like two different people.
So I'll say this. I know a woman who, she's Brazilian. She had her children. She got married to an American, had her children, and went down to Brazil after and got the works. Came back. She never had boobs before. She never had booty before. She was always kind of just a regular built woman. You know what I mean? And hey, Christina. Christina and I used to party at summer parties together before she left Atlanta. But
is she in Brazil with me?
Huh?
Is she in Brazil with me?
No, she lives. She's doing things for the American government now. I imagine. Yeah. But she's amazing. Glad to see you. But she went down and got the works, and she came back with booty, with a snatched waist, with boobs, with Botox and fillers to get the hair. Like, apparently there's a thing that they're doing there that just got here to America where girls are getting like injections in their scalp to help their hair grow faster. That's not a thing.
And societally, it's different in Brazil. One of the things about Brazil is in America, it's like, oh my goodness, did you see Susie's new tits? I think she got her work done. In Brazil, it's like, hey, I got some new tits.
Oh yeah. No, like in America, people make you guess whether they got these things done. Whereas I can't tell you how many women down there, how many pasistas and musas I know are basically like, hey, on tomorrow, I'm going to get boobs and I'm going to live stream it. You know, and it's like...
I know a woman that got kicked off Instagram Live, I think it was, because she didn't understand why she couldn't do a live with her new breast because it was medical. Right. And she was like, why did they kick me off? I'm like,
Yeah, no, I think that like that's one of the differences. You know what I mean? Like they're open about it, but this is the thing: is as much as it is not, it's not a secret that people get work done, but I have experienced like American men talking to me about how, again, this thing about Brazilian women being the most beautiful women in the world and how natural they are.
Well, because you got to remember, we're men. We're not going to think that deeply about it.
Well, this is the thing. Because to me, like I now understand that, you know, getting your boobs done, getting your butt done, men don't care as long as it looks good. If it feels real, it's real. That's all that matters. You know what I mean? So I'm aware of that now. But I just found out that a lot of Black American women don't know about the hair treatments down there. So you have these girls with these big undulating juicy curls, and there's like basically S-curl treatments happening. These girls are getting texturizers on their hair, and nobody's talking about the fact that this is a thing that they do unless you're already in that Samba world. And there are like certain pasistas and musas who talk about like, yeah, I do go and get my hair.
Yeah, I'll give you another example out here. I use testosterone, right? I got a prescription for it when I was like 37. It's awesome. And I came down here and I went to the doctor and I said, hey, I need my prescription filled. And he was like, yeah, I could, but why don't you just ask some of the guys at the gym? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, don't you train in like jiu-jitsu and weightlifting? I said, yeah. He said, just go to the gym. And I was like, is that okay? He said, everybody does it. I went to the gym, and the first thing I did is I went to my coach and I was like, I don't know if this is okay. He was like, let me tell you, the first time I rolled with a guy in jiu-jitsu and I realized he was on the hot sauce, because there's a difference between prescription. There's a difference between prescription level and when you're on the bomba.
Yeah.
So, over the course of 6 weeks, this dude went from he and I being about the same weight and size to his body changing, and he got this strength that came from the pits of, I mean, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. He takes off his shirt, and I told the guy in the gym, I was like, yeah, do you guys know any, it's like Tupperware out here. The people are like, it's like selling Tupperware. They're like, oh yeah, I got a buddy of mine here, I'll text you his PDF and you can get all this. And when I texted the guy, I said, do you carry this? He said, yeah, what else do you want?
You and I have had this conversation about how I didn't know the girls were doing that in the Carnival world. I knew the bodybuilder Musa girls were doing it because it's kind of obvious, you know what I mean? That like because they're so muscular, there's got to be more than just, they're not just hitting crunches in the gym. You know what I mean? Like
they're on oxandrolone. A lot of the women are on oxandrolone cycles.
And so, but you know, as an American who, as you like you said, it's kind of illicit. You don't want to talk about, you know, taking the Skittles as it's called here. You know what I mean? You want to talk about taking the Skittles, you know. And so I am not opposed to the Skittles, but it's not like a regular part of my life. And so when you go to Brazil and the girls are like, yeah, you know, they're not talking, they may not be talking about it on their Facebook lives, but sometimes they'll mess around and take a selfie in the bathroom.
Well,
look down at the bottom of that screen.
When you and your man
containers are just sitting there, and it's like,
when you and your man come down to Brazil, I'm gonna watch stuff change. 6 months later, you're gonna be walking around, your skin is gonna be glowing, your hair is gonna be like 3 feet long, you have these giant dumbbell knockers, and be like, oh, I'm natural.
I mean, possibly.
With a 6-pack.
I'm not opposed to doing those things, you know what I mean? If I know it'll make me feel better. Like, I already know there's some dental things that I want to get done. I'm not opposed to this cosmetic stuff, you know, the cosmetic things. But I think also the older you get in the Samba world, in the Carnival world, these women are doing those things because they want to stay relevant in that space. And I can't knock it because the reality is I got into it a lot older than the girls do that are born there. You know what I mean? Like, I was in my 30s when I finally did a Carnival, whereas these girls have been doing Carnival since they were 7.
Yeah.
You know, so like I'm already behind the 8 ball. The last thing I need to do is be aging. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be that person. So I get that. Like,
Well, here's something I like to talk about. Something that look at BK. He say he's all night. Look, BK, come hang out with your baby for a little while. You give me 3 or 4 months, and it's not like you don't have to actually lift the weights, but here's what we don't talk about enough, and this is something that one of the things I like about Brazil is that they don't bullshit about this. People treat people better if they're nice to look at.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the fact that I have muscles means men want to do business with me more and women argue with me less. Not because I'm threatening, but because when they look at you and say, oh, clearly you take care of yourself, I can trust you to do business with you. Women look at me and go, oh, okay, you know what? He's probably got a lot of options in life. I'm not going to disagree with this guy often. A beautiful woman. Listen, men stumble over themselves to give a pretty woman something, to do something. Let me hold the door for you. Can I get that 5 seconds to spit some game at you? And I'm not saying we treat ugly people badly, but I am saying I'm not even talking about ugly or beautiful. In America, one of the reasons that I'm higher up the food chain is because I'm just not fat. The average American just is, and we don't like to talk about it. No, that's mean. The reality is, if you're fat, people take you less seriously as a man. It's hard to put your masculinity if you're fat.
I'm not going to disagree with you. One of my best friends and I always have for decades now talked about pretty people privileges. It's real. It's real. And if people don't mind looking at you, they're, you know, like you said, they're more likely to want to do business. They're more likely to give you opportunities. And like I said, with my position as Musa, it is pretty much contingent upon whether or not people like looking at me.
Let me tell you something. One of the things I learned, and I'm glad that I'm a man because women have it harder. I was never handsome. This is how you want to know how I got girls? Right there. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of women who would never share a bed or a house with a man that was as pretty as they were. Never in a million years. Women have told me they can't stand pretty boys. I
don't like a pretty man. And I think of, I am in a relationship long term. I think of him as very handsome. But I don't think of him as pretty. He's not so handsome that he doesn't have to do anything. If that
Right.
makes, you know what I mean? Like,
he's not competing for views. When you two walk down the street, he's not competing for eyes. You know, women like for their man to be looked at, but to an extent.
Yeah.
So I learned young, you know, I had a lot of guys who were older than me that put me in the weightlifting game, and they were like, listen, you don't have to be handsome. You can just be big and strong, and you'll get just as far as a handsome man, because there are just as many women who want a guy who's big and strong as opposed to handsome. Because my handsome friends they can lean on being handsome, but they don't lift weights.
Right.
And I told one of
like in my family, we joke about how my little cousins do nothing and they have six packs and pecs, and big pecs. You know what I mean? Like my family has that athletic gene naturally, and not everybody has that. So if you're not, naturally gifted in that way, you better find something. you better find something, because it's hard out here if you are not somebody that people find particularly attractive. And then when you add race on top of that, which I don't even want to go into on this video, but when you add race on top of that, it's a whole, it can be a lot.
And I hope that
yourself left out of a lot of opportunities.
There is, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm going to share a link here. I don't mean to monopolize all your time. We've been talking for a while. I'm going to give you guys a link to one of the most disturbing podcasts I listened to. It was called This American Life, and they do a lot of different things. One of the things is called It's a Small World. And they did one thing called Tell Me I'm Fat. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the link here. I want you to listen. And it was really hard. There was a woman who had been overweight her whole life. She had been overweight, which equals unattractive, her whole life. Out of nowhere, something happened and she just got bariatric surgery. Mm-hmm. And hold on, let's see if this all pops up. Okay, I'm gonna have to do it in two separate ones. There, and then I'll say that one. Oh, why is it not working? In any case, just listen to this. There's a woman who got the bariatric surgery. She changed some things. And people treated her differently.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It fucked her life up. Because it confirmed every negative voice that had been in the back of her head since she was a child. People did treat me as if, I won't say bad, it wasn't like she got beat up. But she realized I was invisible to people. People didn't do extra things for me that they could have done specifically because I was fat. Yeah. And it destroyed her relationship with her boyfriend. There was a guy in her apartment, she said, who saw her in the hallway and he was like, hey, how are you? She was like, I'm doing good. He said, oh, you new around here? She lived in that apartment for years.
It's true though, and that I actually have a friend who had that surgery, and the struggle of I look different and people treat me different has been probably the hardest part for her. Just looking in the mirror and realizing that her body is now a size 2 when it used to be a 22.
2? Wow, that's nice.
She's small. She's small. Like, she's small. You know what I mean? Like, and I call her Skinny Minnie now, and she's like, no, girl, like you are like teeny tiny. And
now how is she adjusting? And is she keeping the weight off? That's the other thing. Most of them gain the weight back.
No, she's keeping it off for sure. And I think it was the lifestyle change part was the easy part for her, actually. The eating less, because your body actually, when you have some of those surgeries, you can't actually eat more because you'll barf, you'll throw it up. if you do. Your stomach actually is smaller, so it cannot hold, you know, all the food that you thought you could. And so she definitely eats in much smaller portions. And that part of it has been easy for her. The harder part has been acknowledging how people notice her in a way. People that she worked with for years noticed her, you know, after she had the surgery, after she changed her body. Because the reality was she was always put together well, hair laid, makeup done, nails did, you know, like she always was that person. And she's still that person, but for some reason now people like, oh, you really take care of yourself, you know. And it's like, she's always taking care of herself, you know. Let me say physically, like keeping herself looking beautiful, she always did that, but she was just a bigger girl. And now like people actually act like she matters, that they notice that she does those things, that she gets her nails done and her eyelashes done and she keeps her hair laid. They notice that in a way that they never did when she was bigger. And she's like, that shit is fucking weird. You know what I mean? It's weird. And
Well,
she
I got
also has moments of she can't believe that this is her body when she has to go buy clothes. She still thinks she needs to get a bigger size. And it's like, girl, no. You're teeny tiny now. Like, it's okay, you know. And I feel for her in that regard, but I'm happy she did what she wanted to do, because I know other people who want to have the surgery and their insurance company won't even cover it. So, you know.
Tell them to call me. We get them hooked up down here in Brazil.
I'll do that.
I got a buddy of mine who went from very, very overweight to, during the quarantine, and his city quarantine lasted for 4 months, and he got on this push-up and sit-up routine and started eating a lot less. He came out better than he went in. Most people couldn't do it. He came out with a six-pack, and he's struggling now because one of the reasons fat men are so funny is because they use it to make up for the fact that they're fat. But when you're already in shape and you're trying to be funny, it comes off as trying too hard. And he doesn't understand, I'm also in shape and I'm still able to like juggle monkeys. And women don't find that attractive. And he and me and some of the other guys, you know, we sit just that circle of men, we're trying to get across to him is like, you're enough now.
Yeah. That's that the mentality changes. Like so for me, I'm coming out of quarantine worse. I'm not even going to pretend that I'm in the shape I was in the pictures you showed of me. I'm not in that shape right now. And I had E point out to me, you don't know how to be this size because you've never been this size. I'm like, God damn, I don't know how to be chunky. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. This is new. You know what I mean? So I'm like now, like, you know, on a workout regimen that is like hardcore, you know what I mean? Eating less, eating differently. You know, I've never eaten like horribly, but I clearly have to do, you know, more than I have done in the past, because quarantine I was not good to myself during quarantine, you know. So
really, you were depressed?
I was not good to myself. And just like not dealing well with because I'm a very social person by nature. And the fact that like there were no social opportunities, what was I doing during the day? Drinking.
Well, I want to tell you what I did during quarantine. And me and some of my friends, we used to sneak off to one of the outdoor parks, even though we were under quarantine. They couldn't close the park until one day the police came up and they were like, hey, but I went and got myself a kettlebell, a 40-pound kettlebell. And those bad boys, you can put in some work.
I mean, yeah, and this is the thing, like we, you know, here in the States, weights were sold out everywhere. So the gyms closed down and weights were sold out everywhere. There was nowhere you could get weights. You couldn't find a kettlebell. You couldn't even find 5-pound weights. Ankle weights were like, forget about it. There was nothing available. You know what I mean? So like the only thing you could do was like go for like a jog around the neighborhood. But like that was it when they shut stuff down. And so, like I said, I spent my time click, working, having a cocktail, you know what I mean? And like snacking, you know, like just snacking, you know, but.
Well, you know, one of the things we talked about, and we'll talk about this offline, but I also want to show some other people some options. We talked about how a lot of people who want to come to Brazil, they look for other options as far as income and how they can put things together. I don't have the answers for everybody, but I will tell people this, and this is something my good buddy BK from the Rockies pointed out here. I'm going to put this up here. Where is it? We have a Patreon group, and it's not nearly as much fun as YouTube. I tell people that all the time. Patreon, not fun. What Patreon is, a place where we talk about business issues. We have a group of people who are businessmen and businesswomen, and we trade ideas and services, and it's become very, 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 very successful. And I will tell people this, I won't go into the whole reading all this stuff here. I'm going to put the link there, and I'll definitely tell them, join the Patreon. And I will also say less fun, more business. So nobody joins it thinking it's going to be some clown juggling.
You're giving them useful info.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's do this. I'm going to click end broadcast for the people watching. I want to say thank you. I want you to be able to
see the Carnival stuff?
Oh, I forgot it was back there. I'm trying to, because you know what? I told you how long it would take, and I realized I went overtime, but I guess that cocktail loosened some stuff up you were drinking.
Yeah. So this is one of my Carnival headpieces.
Nice.
I think these feathers are 45 centimeters. It's really light, but it's kind of, you know, so you guys can see how it like looks on my head. But yeah, this is one of my headpieces. I love this one.
Was that like your first one?
Say it again.
Was that your first one? Is that why you love it so much?
It was my first Carnival costume. And it was a full body suit with, I got like little arm covers, and the shoes were a size too small because they were made for somebody else, but I still loved it. This was my most recent Carnival headpiece. This is the one that like is in all of my pictures. I love this one so much.
Oh, that's the sea lady one.
Yes, exactly. So you see the shells. Brand, see, you wanted to see the Carnival stuff. It's here now. But yeah, you can see the fins and the gills, and this one it's kind of, you know, I did this bit to like put the elastic there. They actually had string, but I found that it won't stay on my head if I use string. I have to have something elastic there. But this is one of my headpieces, so that's one. And then I had one of my feathers broke, which makes me really sad, but this is some of the feathers that go on my backpack. Again, these are, I think, 45 centimeters long. These go on my backpack on a harness. I'm going to show you the harness in a second, but I have to like Velcro these on to the harness. I actually did the Velcro part myself.
Nice.
Because the designer did not. And you see they have like rhinestones on the feathers and stuff. I love this costume so much. Oh my God. I love it. If you go to my my Instagram and my YouTube, you can see what this costume looks like on my actual body. But I have like feathers just everywhere. This is the harness that goes on my shoulders. It's not lightweight. I can tell you that right now. This thing is actually pretty.
So how much do you think a costume weighs to wear one? Because you're dancing. Basically, it's like you're running with a weight vest on.
It is exactly like running with a weight vest. When you get all of it on together, you're probably talking about 10 pounds. Okay. Wearing 10 pounds doesn't seem like a lot until you're dancing in it for an hour.
Right.
That's when you start to feel it. And you're like, oh my God, like this is heavy, because you like this is not heavy in the grand scheme of life. However, it is heavy when you add the actual wing and then you Velcro the feathers to the wings.
Everything adds up. It's a game of inches.
Exactly. It becomes a lot. But this is what's, you know, I keep going to the wrong side, but I hook the wings there, Velcro the feathers onto the wings, and this is like my little harness, and I tie it underneath with old pantyhose so that it blends with my skin. And then these are my favorite shoes of all of my Samba shoes, of which I have many, because you can't wear the same shoes every day. You'll wear them out too fast. but these are my faves. They're actually a really low heel to where the other pasistas and musas laugh at me, but I know
Hold them higher.
I know I'm never gonna fall in this shoe.
Oh yeah, those are short. I've seen women in woo.
Exactly. You see them in 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch heels. And if you notice, the heel is probably about 3 inches, and I still have a whole inch platform in front.
So let me ask you a question. How heavy is that? Because I mean, it looks like it's got to be made out of just solid wood.
It's pretty heavy. The shoes are heavy, so you have to have strong abs and legs to be able to pick your feet up to do the samba. You know what I mean? Like that's so being a samba dancer is more than just the skill of being able to dance. When you become a carnival performer, you have to physically be strong because you have to carry all of this extra weight and you have to be able to pick your feet up wearing shoe, and you want the shoe to be as light as possible. Like when you're choosing the shoe, that's part of it. How lightweight is it? How heavy is this shoe? If it's a little too heavy, I don't know if I want to do that.
Are they custom made shoes?
Say it again.
Are they custom made?
No, the shoe is not custom. The design on, so the rhinestones on them are though. So I can get there are places in Rio where you can actually get the shoe literally custom made to your foot and to your feet. And then the atelier who made my Carnival costume, I dropped off the shoes with him and he made these to match the costume. He actually designed them, put all the rhinestones on for me.
Wow.
Yeah. And Michel Marsola is the guy who made my costume. He also makes a lot of like the celebrity girls costumes. So the fact that I got one made by him, like every time I told people like who was making my costume, they would say, "Oh, he's the best." You know, like that was always the reaction. And the funny thing is that like I had to go find my own shoe and I had to buy my own feathers. So you have to like have sources for things. You can't just say, I'm going to go and be a musa for a samba school. They'll give you someone who can do those things for you, but they will likely charge you an insane amount of money. So I was very grateful that people had introduced me to a guy who brokers feathers. Like he literally dyes feathers and sells them. That is his business.
Look what Flem D said. Talk about those shoes.
Gonna be burning. Your calf's gonna be burning. I'm telling you, like these shoes are no joke. They're low, but they're heavy.
I saw a woman do pictures of her legs and feet after dance when she takes off the shoes, and her legs are swollen, but you can actually see the indentations of the wraps.
Yes. Yeah, I typically I know to put band-aids on certain toes because they're going to be like rubbing up against the material of the shoe while I'm dancing. So, and when I don't do that, man, my feet are cut up and swollen and red. And I am not a fan of having, as a, dancers, we get used to our feet getting beat up. I've always been, just even as an athlete, you get used to your feet getting beat up because I played softball growing up. You're going to have bruises and scars. It just happens. But I don't, if I can avoid it, I try. And with these shoes, with the gladiator sandals, when you take them off, you're going to have grooves in your legs sometimes. Sometimes the materials cut you and you're bleeding. And like when my Samba godmother, who I have 3 videos dedicated to on my YouTube channel, when she took off her harness one carnival, she was bleeding, just bleeding, and it's like, she's like, it is what it is. And she put some, is this D Flim? Hey, D Flim. I saw Flim D Nice and I thought that might be you. I thought that might be you. But yeah, no, so my girl would take her harness off and be bleeding at the armpits because it's like digging into her skin while she's dancing. Your arms are going and you're like chafing yourself. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. I've seen samba competitions where girls have literally lost toenails.
Oof.
Keep dancing. You keep dancing. And like, taking ballet same thing. You keep dancing. You're bleeding. You keep dancing.
Wow.
So that's some of the stuff I want to show you guys about Carnival. Yusef was about to end the video without you guys seeing anything.
Wow. It was an accident. It was an accident. So you got to come back and hang out with us. We got a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
you got to be.
there's a lot of topics we didn't really get to. You know, we talked about pasistas, musas, Porta Bandera, and Mestre de Sala. But and I mentioned Carnivalesco, but there's so many other roles in Carnival. There's so many things you don't know before you do Carnival that I think that I love to share with people, because I never want anybody to have the Carnival experience I had the first time. I cried 4 times that day.
What do you mean?
They don't, because they're so used to doing Carnival and people come up in it. There's information that they don't give you about your parade day. And I had to just figure it out. And I was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to miss my parade. You know, and I didn't. But, you know, I do know girls who did. I know American girls who paid all that money for these gorgeous costumes. And then on the day of the parade, didn't even get to do it because they didn't have certain pieces of information.
You know, we do need to go deeper, and not just you and I. We need to go deeper into critical thinking skills and the set of critical thinking skills that you develop as an expat. Because you can't teach someone how to think about questions to ask.
Right. That's true. That comes with experience of learning how those people actually communicate, how the people around you communicate, what the cultural communication style is. If you're not aware of what that is, you're going to be in a lot of bad situations.
That's, that's.
I've been caught up in a favela traffic country barbecue situation. Didn't know that was happening.
Yeah, I don't know about that life.
That's what I don't either. But what I'm saying is I got caught up in it because I didn't ask the right questions.
Wow.
So, you know, you learn things as you go. You try not to find yourself in those situations again. But yeah, like Carnival and just living in Brazil as a woman navigating things, as a Black woman navigating things, there are things you need to know that you only learn through experience, because a lot of times people just won't talk about it. And I never want people to experience what came to me as a bad experience that could have been avoided had I had a certain amount of information. I always want to share that. I never want to like leave people with their ass hanging out in the pocket, you know?
Yeah, my life experience in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Sao Paulo is a different country. Rio is just nuts. Rio is
Rio's great. I don't know why you won't come visit us in Rio.
I visit when my clients pay me a lot of money to go down there, but Rio, I'm not trying to hang out.
You to come hang out with me.
Well, why don't you come to Sao Paulo? There's more to do. There's a lot more to do in Sao Paulo than there is in Rio.
I like what we do in Rio, though.
We will have this. Look, goodbye, everybody. We got some argument to have offline. I will talk to y'all. Do you have anything you want to log off with?
Say it again.
Anything you want to tell them before we go?
No, I just want to tell them thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys go subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Instagram. I appreciate y'all. And if you have any questions, you can always message me on those platforms.
Cool. Talk to y'all later.
All right. Ciao.